Thrilled to be headed to the Summit League tournament. Opening game on Sunday, and it's been a pretty special year 2 in Division I. From I think the progress we've seen, the play of our freshmen, our veterans, and the way they've all come together. Some magical wins, and I think really electric home crowds here at ROKKR Arena, 12-2 at home, and to tie for 4th place in our second year. I think we're really excited about it, and more than anything, I think what we're building, not just in our program, but the athletic department, I think is really, to me, a story that nationally is both intriguing and also tells kind of the mantra in our athletic department, comprehensive excellence, which our athletic director, Phil Eston, talks a lot about. We have student athletes who are really committed to being great in the classroom. They're wonderful people, and they're really competitive on the court. And so it's an honor to coach them, and really looking forward to this weekend.
Coach, just talk about some of the newcomers and their chance to their first year, some of the freshmen to play in the conference tournament, and they've been obviously a big part of the growth of your program.
Yeah, we've been fortunate. I think our freshman class, we have 4 freshmen, and then Ryan Default is a redshirt freshman, and they've been playing probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 85 to 90 minutes a game out of our 200. And so for the contributions that they've made early on, I think has exceeded our expectations. And they were a pretty heralded freshman group. Andrew Rohde has been phenomenal. He leads us in, I think, points, assists, steals, but more than his, I think, quantitative measures, just his love of the game and what an unbelievable teammate he is. We saw that when we were recruiting him. You'd walk in a gym in high school and you saw the 9th graders, and he would treat them with a ton of respect, and you'd see the football players who were there, and he got along great with them, and and he was the same way when he was a young kid there too, playing with Benny now, who's with us now, and David Joplin, who's at Marquette, that he's just a connector, and so as a freshman, to do the things he's doing on the court, but also do it, I think, with a humility, a toughness. He's got a lot on his shoulders. That's been really impressive. Kendall Blue has started much of the season for us, and he's, a local kid from Eastridge who played for Josh Peltier, who played here. And Kendall is sort of a jack of all trades. I mean, you watch him, and he's, I think, really good at everything. His ceiling is incredible, but he has the ability to fit in, whether it's being a star last year at Eastridge. But again, part of why you want to, I think, recruit guys from such good programs is that they've played in myriad roles with other people. So Kendall played with a Courtney Brown and a Kendall Brown and a Ben Carlson in high school, so he wasn't always scoring 28 a game like he was as a senior. He's been really good as just a versatile wing, and then Ajani Lee off the bench has been tremendous. I mean, his growth through the course of the year has really been, I think, one of the highlights of our season, because when he's in the game, and he's gone through some freshman stuff. Right now, he's committing too many fouls. Whether or not he's actually fouling people, we like to debate a lot. But he's learning so much through that, and his presence around the rim, his rebounding, his athleticism, the way he runs the floor. All 3 of those guys have been tremendous. And then Ryan Default, who's a redshirt freshman, you talk about a spark plug off the bench who, came here as a walk-on and nothing was promised to him, and he has just worked tirelessly day after day after day. And again, the 4 of them, and Carter Bierke, who has a really bright future, is redshirting. So all told, the 5 of them, I think the future is really bright. But what they've been able to do in year 1, you don't see many teams around the country relying on freshmen this much, and having success doing it.
Coach, I was just going to ask, what's kind of your overall message to the team this week, knowing that, generally when you're going to a conference tournament, you're trying to contend for an NCAA tournament spot. Obviously, you guys don't have that luxury this year for a couple years now. What's the overall message for the team, just as far as how you approach, mentally this tournament?
Yeah, I mean, at some level, you could say this is our NCAA tournament, right? We know this is the end point of our season. I think our guys, both of the last 2 seasons, have been phenomenal at just treating every game like it's a 1-game season, a Super Bowl, whatever metaphor you want to use. But I think last year they were great at it. This year we've done it 31 times. And part of that is you want to have players who love the game. Because if you love the game, then that statement makes total sense. Like Riley Miller I was just meeting with, and Riley's a 5th-year senior, and you don't ever have to ask Riley, like, hey, we got to get up for this game. Because to Riley, there's no place in the world he'd rather be than in the gym. And so I think our guys are really good at that. I think they're really grateful for this opportunity. Last year we weren't able to go to the Summit League tournament, and so getting to do this at the end of the year I think is a great capstone to the season. And also what an opportunity. We've played all these teams twice. We know how we can match up. We know the challenges. But I think it's, while we can't go to the NCAA tournament, everything else is right in front of us. And the Summit League tournament is a special event. We had a chance to go there last year, and outside of the Power 6 conferences, I think the attendance is as high or nearly as high as anywhere else in the country. So this is going to be a truly unique and special and new opportunity for every one of our players. And so I don't think it's not hard to get them excited to play basketball first and foremost, but then to do it in Sioux Falls at this event is really easy.
The last time you played Western Illinois, you guys had a healthy, shall we say, victory. I know it's different, right? Everyone kind of gears up for the postseason, but it's easy to glean something from that last matchup when it's a team like very well, right?
Yeah, I mean, Western, we know them, they know us. Rob Jeter's a phenomenal coach. I mean, he played for Coach Ryan at Platteville, won a national title with him in '91, and I've known Rob a long time and have a ton of respect, not just for him, but if you watch their program play, they play a lot like Rob played and a lot like Coach Ryan's teams played. They're tough, they're smart, they have just their role clarity. I tell our team all the time is one of the best I've seen in the country, where their guys just understand their strengths and they know what they have to do. They're really physical. And both games we played with them, I think we lost by 4 there, and it was down to the last 30 seconds. And they have one of the best guards in the conference in Trenton Masner, and so he's really electric. He had 46 earlier this year in a conference game, and just you're not going to stop him. It's more about just trying to make his life difficult. But their other players are really, really good, and it's one of those games I said it after in the same spot last week. It's one of the teams you love to play because they're going to bring out a certain competitiveness and toughness in you, and I think they play the game the right way. So. We're looking forward to it. It'll be a great test.
You said you went down to watch the tournament. Was it just your staff or players?
Our administration and our staff were all down there last year, so it was fun to see. I mean, the crowds are incredible, and there is a different feel when you're on a neutral site in an arena like that. So I thought that was good for us. Our players haven't been there yet, but it's our players over the last 2 years, when you think about the different environments they've walked into. This year opening night Creighton, and I go back to last year, some of the games we played. I think that's been one of the neatest parts of this whole experience for them is to just get to do so many different things. That a guy like Riley Miller came here with one goal to win a Division III national championship, and that's morphed into Division I and helping us lead in this Division I era. And he and all these veterans have been, I think, remarkable at how they've adapted in midstream all the while around a global pandemic. It's really, to me, it's one of the more inspiring things about young people, that they oftentimes get a bad rap, but when you look at what a guy like Riley has been through over 5 years and how he's handled it all, it's easy to feel proud of them as a coach.
He's got no more eligibility.
No, Riley does not. This will be his last weekend. He broke our all-time games played record. And it's funny because I was showing some of our young guys his stats from early in his career. Like his sophomore year, he only made 41 threes. And we played 29 games. We were 26-3 in Division III, only made 41 threes. Last year, he made over 100 in Division I. And so it really is a testament to just how hard he's worked and how much growth you can have in college, because he was always a great shooter. If anything, we got upset with him for not shooting a lot. And there was a point in his third year here where I think things just clicked, and he shot 62% from the three line that year in that abbreviated season. But I think that was for him a huge springboard going into Division I, and then all those moments that we're talking about that they've never been in before, that helps you kind of adapt and stay poised under pressure in those moments.
Are you able to step back and appreciate what you've accomplished this year, or is that something that you'll do after the season? Because nobody could have predicted how this would go when you made the leap from D3 to D1. You're already over 500 in just your second year. You were competitive in virtually every game you played this year. Are you able to appreciate that, or does that come after the season?
Yeah, I think probably after the season. My wife does a pretty good job of it, sometimes telling me, would you knock it off, just stop and be an optimist for a little while. And I think there's a blend of it, because when you're in the middle of a season, you don't really have time to stop and reflect. But I do think there's continually throughout the season a lot of gratitude that we have for how our guys play. And I think that was probably evidenced best. The crowds we were having at Schoenecker Arena the last probably 6 or 7 games were as good as any I've ever seen here. And so to me, it's not the most important thing, right? The most important thing is how these guys act as human beings and students and how they compete. But I do think it reflects what people in the basketball community in our state are seeing with them, the way they play together unselfishly, their skill level, but probably most of all their joy. And so that, to me, that's games are just a lot of fun. They're intense, but it also, like, you just get to see these guys play really, really hard for 40 minutes. And even in the games we've lost, and we've lost some tough ones, I don't know that I've walked away disappointed by our effort. We always play hard. It's just, sometimes we don't shoot as well as we'd like. Sometimes we have really tough matchups. But I think there will be more time to reflect after the season. But certainly, we're really excited about where the program's headed and the opportunities that are in front of us.
When you talk about that adaptability to go from one dream to the other, Coach Sim was talking about going from success to significance. Is it a harder sell to be like, you're going to be building something for the future here? I know your goal was, let's come in and win a D2 championship or be this, and now you're laying the groundwork for what the future is going to be at St. Thomas. How has that adaptability been shifting from success to significance?
Yeah, that's interesting. Adaptability actually for 7 years has been one of our 4 core principles of our program. So adaptability, curiosity, trust, and gratitude. And it's a funny acronym, ACTG, which is like the DNA, adenine, cytosine, guanine, and I think thiamine. So I didn't do well in biology, but I learned enough from that. And so that's what we talk about, those 4 things, though, as the DNA of our program. Because in life, and I think this generation is actually better poised to than the one I grew up in, they've seen so many changes. You just look at technologically what they have to do month after month. As much as we might criticize all the things that go along with technology, they also are very used to things just changing on a dime. And they did have to go to classes on Zoom suddenly and do that for a long time. So these happened concurrently. None of this was planned. Last year, one of our players said, what were the odds that we would get removed from a conference, a global pandemic would happen, and we'd go D3 to D1? And I mean, infinitesimal, because I don't think anybody would have predicted any one of those things, and 3 of them happened during their window of time. I think the importance of adaptability is getting them to see in those tough moments that that's okay, right? Because that's when it's toughest to adapt. It's relatively easy to adapt when things are smooth sailing, but it's the times where all of a sudden the current shifts and now this is really difficult, whether we're down 12 at halftime or we just lost a couple games. Okay, how do we adapt? And so for our guys that have been part of these first 2 years, I do think embracing that and hearing us talk about that a lot. But I also think there's a tremendous sense of pride at St. Thomas and the legacy that's come before. We wouldn't be here without the players who played in the 50s and 60s and 70s. And, I played here from 1991 to 95, and I see a ton of our teammates at most of our games. The younger alums are very present, and so our players have that as a very vivid reminder of the legacy that's come before them and the opportunity they have. And there will never be another group like these first couple of years where they'll be the guys that I think we look back at and say, yeah, back in 2021, 22, 23, these were the guys that were laying the groundwork in Division I. And, we have a new arena on the horizon. Some of our guys will get to play in that, some of them won't, but I think they'll all take tremendous pride in coming back watching games there, knowing what they did. And I feel the same way our seniors last year. 5 guys graduated last year, and they embraced that, with the same kind of, I think, just kind of blind faith and let's go do this together. No school has really done this before. So what an opportunity, because that's the other way to look at it. None of them thought they were coming here to be Division I athletes, and not only have they done that, but I think they've done it incredibly well.